Good afternoon, Kentucky. Thank you for joining us today. We're super excited to be here and to talk about the online global programs, your international business, how you can use websites, online marketing to grow your sales. And we have some Kentucky companies to talk about as well, which is fantastic. So thank you all very, very much. We realize that you've got busy days, that you're all busy running companies and such. So we really appreciate your time today. Thank you. And with that, you will get a recording of this webinar, and you can get a slide deck too if you'd like. Just let us know. So that means you can just sit back, relax, don't even have to take notes. Just sit back and enjoy the webinar, and also take the time to ask questions. Drop your questions into the chat box. We do realize you're busy, but hey, you've taken an hour out. Sit back, enjoy it, and ask the questions you never have time to ask about anything online. With that, while the last of you are logging on, let's introduce ourselves. We are each going to be talking today, and I'll leave all of our speakers to reintroduce themselves when they do speak. But just a quick overview. I'm super excited that Mary is here today. Mary Nakamp is the program manager for STEP, and she'll explain what that means. For the Kentucky Innovation Cabinet Economic Development. Oh, I've messed it up. Mary will do that better than I am. And she'll be talking to you about the STEP grants and how the Cabinet for Economic Development Kentucky helps exporters and helps companies to grow their business. Brian is also here from the U.S. Department of Commerce, from U.S. Commercial Service, and Brian is a senior international trade specialist, and also he'll be showing you sort of the helping hand of U.S. Commercial Service, how what the services are, how to engage with them, and how it can bring value to your business. I'm also really excited that Deborah's joined us. Deborah is the president. I think you're the CEO as well, by the way. The president and CEO, perhaps, of Oscaware, a Kentucky company, born and bred in Kentucky company, and she'll be telling us a bit about her sort of journey, a bit about the company, how it's grown, where it is now, and how it sees the future growing up there. And for myself, my name is Susanna. I'm Chief Content Officer at a company called IBT Online. Just a quick word on who we are as a company. We're what's called a full stack online marketing company, which basically means we build websites, little ones, big ones, e-commerce, yes, no, and we do online marketing for our clients. And we're really known for I guess a couple of things, really two things. One, for helping sort of small and mid-cap companies to grow and to grow internationally. So we're really also known for our international ability and such. So that's our sort of wheelhouse, as it were. And we're really excited as well because we are signed to something called a strategic partnership with U.S. Commercial Service, and we are the U.S. Commercial Service e-commerce partner, which we signed in early 2024. So very, very excited and proud to be that. We also developed something called the Online Global Programs, and these are programs that are well-trodden paths for companies to get the right and high-performance online assets, websites, online marketing to grow their business internationally. So that's me and our company, and that's our main speakers today. Really excited about that. Let's talk first. Before I get to the agenda, I wanted to sort of highlight something, which is what we think of as like 7 big steps towards an international digital strategy. Just very, big brushstroke steps. I wanted to highlight this because both Mary and Brian organizations help you with each one of these steps. I mean, we're an online marketing company, so we help in, 1 or 2 of them, your website, your marketing, your e-commerce. But Mary and Brian are there at every step of the way. And so they can help you define which markets to go into, how to get information, all those things. And maybe even have some funding for it. So I wanted to say, this webinar is about, online assets, but there's a lot that goes in there beforehand, and so I wanted to sort of put that as a starter. So when we look at our agenda today, I've sort of divided up into 6 big areas, six sections, as it were. I'll start off with Brian just talking about sort of how U.S. Commercial Service helps America's exporters, what Brian can do to help you there. And then I was going to take back the microphone and give sort of broad brush picture, landscape picture of the online world today and what, as a company, what we're seeing coming down the track for companies and what we're seeing, how companies are reacting to things and what companies are doing online at the moment. And there's some important, I think it's some very important news going down there. And then we're going to hear from Deborah from Oscoware and their journey, who they are, where they're implanted, how they sell, where they sell to, how they use online assets to do that, and the success that they've had with that. And I think it's a really compelling story, and I'm sure you'll be delighted with it. It's a great story. And then the Kentucky, I'm really struggling with this, Mary, Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development. There we go. And Mary's going to tell us a little bit about what the Cabinet for Economic Development has and its house to help you as Kentucky companies, and also a little bit about some funding. Then I'm going to take it back again. And I was asked particularly by Mary, and by Brian, what are some first steps? What are some first easy steps and easy wins that Kentucky companies can do for their online assets? So how can they, let's say a company's got very limited resources. What would you suggest? So that's what I'm going to do in the last section. And as I said, there's time at the end for questions. So thank you very much. And off we go. Very full agenda. So Brian, we'd love to hear from you, please.
Hey, thanks, Susanna. And also, I just want to thank everybody for joining the webinar today. And I'm also very pleased to be on the panel with all the partners that we've worked with and companies we've worked with. And certainly honored to be here to talk a little bit briefly about us. Before I start that, I do just want to say something. All the webinars and things that we've all been doing over the past, since COVID and beyond, people always have these really cool backgrounds, right? Like this. That's not some fake background, actually. That's actually real. And this is not a government office. I'm actually at a client's office. I'm traveling right now around the state, meeting with companies, and they were kind enough to let me do the webinar here. So this really cool background actually is a legitimate thing. It's not some fake background. So anyway, I just want to point that out because I thought it was neat. So a quick overview, if you will, of what the U.S. Commercial Service is. We have a terrible name. It's that right out of the gate. I'll just say that U.S. Commercial Service is not a great name because people say, "Oh, what kind of commercials do you make?" Well, we don't make commercials. It's commerce basically. So we are a federal agency, and we are under the umbrella of the International Trade Administration, which is under the U.S. Department of Commerce. And footprint-wise, we have about 100 offices domestically, and we're located in about 145 U.S. embassies and consulates around the world, representing about 80 countries. So we have a pretty good footprint as far as being able to help companies when they develop export models or export plans to develop these countries around the world as potential locations for your products or services, if you will. So our basic mission really is to promote and protect commercial interests of U.S. businesses, primarily the small to medium-sized enterprises, although we do work with the big companies as well. They're taxpayers, of course, and so they have access to our suite of resources and services. But primarily, we try to be there as the arm, if you will, an international arm for the small to medium-sized companies that don't necessarily have a true, large international department or any international department, if you will. And some of the major reasons, why we exist is really, supporting, U.S. companies' growth and U.S. companies' stability. And it's shown time and time again and throughout studies when companies have a broader footprint, they tend to be more stable. They also tend to weather the storm. If one market is up, another market might be down. They tend to weather the storm better, if you will, if they're diversified throughout markets around the world. Celia, if you could advance to the next slide, please. So a couple of the things I'll just highlight, some of the things that we sort of focus on. The agency as a whole, again, covers sort of an enormous amount of customized solutions to help companies develop plans and successfully implement them as an export strategy to, again, sell their products and services, U.S. made products and services. And I'll say that when I say U.S. made, some of the requirements we have, I'll just say, is majority U.S. content. So we want companies that we work with, they have to have 51% or greater U.S. content. So if you're just sourcing it from somewhere else and there's no U.S. content, unfortunately, we can't work with you. But we know companies all over the U.S. That manufacture things. There may be inputs that come from other markets, but as long as it's majority U.S., we'll work with you. So some of the things we do, the market intel, doing the deep dive on helping companies determine, which markets are most viable for their products and services. What are the competitive hurdles? What are the regulatory hurdles? What are the opportunities? What are the risks? All those sort of things that kind of help a company and working with them determine whether or not that ROI exists in a particular market. Oftentimes companies come to us with a market that they maybe heard may be great for their company because they heard it from this person who heard it from that person. And it's my job to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? My job is to tell you the reasons why it is a great market or why it's not a market. And here are other markets that you may want to consider instead. One of the core things that we also do is our B2B matchmaking or B2G matchmaking, helping companies connect with the appropriate buyers or distributors or representatives overseas for their particular product or service. And we do, one of the reasons we list B2G there, one of my portfolios that I cover is aerospace and defense. And so I do work on a lot of defense related projects. And so typically those tend to be obviously B2G, where a U.S. company is trying to connect with a foreign government or military or security services or whatever it may be. And so, and it's not just defense, obviously, but on the B2B side for companies that are selling into industrial markets or commercial markets, we cover every industry that you could possibly imagine, and we help companies set up, or we'll cast the net and help set up meetings for U.S. companies to go and travel to that market, in which we'll provide support, logistical support, help arrange for interpreters, drivers to get you to and from meetings so that you have an opportunity to sit down and present your value proposition to the appropriate people in those markets and hopefully solidify a deal. Also just note, trade missions and trade shows are things that we work on regularly. Some of those, I'll highlight one that is one every year we have called Trade Winds, which is the largest U.S. government-led trade mission. This coming one in the spring of next year will the anchor location will be in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and then several other South American markets, in which companies can come and a network and have those sort of B2B meetings, if you will, in markets like that. We work on trade shows domestically as well. We bring foreign delegations to U.S. shows all the time. They're led by my counterparts in the U.S. Embassy and U.S. Consulate that may bring a delegation of 10 people or 200 people to a trade show. I mean, we want to make sure if you're exhibiting at that show and it's a show that we are very connected with, we want to make sure you have an opportunity where you got buyers and sellers in the same room and to put you all in front of them and introduce you to those prospects, if you will. Next slide, please, if you would. We also work on helping companies understand sort of the broad export mechanics, if you will. What are the things they need to be aware of if they are developing an export model. Again, whether it's regulatory requirements, U.S. export controls, those are the things that regulate things that either go boom or deliver things that go boom. Those are regulated by one federal agency under State Department. Then you have some commodities that are dual use. They may seem very benign, but theoretically they could be used in a dangerous capacity. And we help companies understand what the regulations are and who they're selling it to, and make sure that they can sell their products and apply for the appropriate licenses if necessary. Logistics process, trade finance, risk mitigation tools, making sure you get paid, how you structure things, how you protect yourself from default of buyers overseas, and connect you with various federal agencies that can help support that, be it U.S. Export-Import Bank, SBA has different programs as well, documentary requirements, sort of across the board types of the mechanics aspect. And then another thing I'll note is the international company profile that we have. And again, our terminology is what it is, but ultimately they're background checks. So you have a company that you may have started a dialogue with or met them at a trade show. And if you're selling, a one-off sale to them, get a wire transfer as long as it's legal to sell. You make the sale, no problem. You don't necessarily have to have a full, read on everything about the company. But if you're involved with them and it's going to be contractual, you better do your due diligence and know everything you can about that company before you sign on the dotted line. It's really important and it's important for that company that you're doing business with. They should be doing it on you as well, right? So we offer these programs to help do the deep dive there to find out from those companies, what their financials are like, what their structure is like. Have they been in and out of bankruptcy or litigation for, company principals, that sort of things. And in addition to sort of like the D&B background check, our specialists will actually reach a bit further and they'll do interviews with those companies as well. So we kind of have a full gamut of resources that we offer U.S. companies. My email address is below. Our website is trade.gov. I encourage everybody on the webinar here, jump in, look around. There's an enormous amount of information, and we're there to help any way we can to help you all develop, an export model to be an international company. So thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Brian, fantastic. Thank you so much. And as Brian said, really a full gamut of resources. We wanted to ask you right up front, as you know, we're a group here now. We wanted to ask you if you're already doing business internationally. Are you out there with local partners? Are you still thinking about it? So if you just grab your mouse and go on. And a couple of you are starting to think, oh, yeah, here we go, getting some responses. Thank you. And thank you very much. So I think most of you are still thinking about it. A couple of you have got some local partners. How about that? But thank you very much indeed. There'll be a few more polls in this. Brian said the full range of assistance that's available to Kentucky companies, exporters, and his email is on the slide deck several times as well. I wanted to give you this very quick presentation of sort of the online world. Where are we now? Right. Remember, you are getting a recording because a lot of stats coming your way now. But so we're 8 billion people on the planet. It's an awful lot of people, isn't it? 5.6 billion telephones, mobile phones, right? And 5.4, 5.35 billion people using the internet. And nearly all of them are on social media. So that means that they're all on their phone. And the amazing statistic for me is 6 hours and 40 minutes a day. 6 hours and 40 minutes a day using the internet for 5.4 billion people. This is terrific news if you're a small, medium company. You know where your clients are. You know where your prospects are. You know where, and you know how to reach them. They're all online and you reach them via social media. Okay, so that's the key that I want to bring out. And we're in the States. We think, oh, we're online all the time. My kids are online all the time. No, the U.S. is way down the chart. In fact, so on this next chart, the blue arrow is the USA. The white arrow is the world average. Okay, so that's the use of social media for brand research, for example. So if you're thinking, oh, I really need to sell into South Africa or the UAE or Brazil, well, they want to see your brand online before anything else. Kind of pretty similar really on the e-commerce side. And that's, again, these are just big stats I'm going to throw your way. E-commerce was growing very steadily before pandemic. Pandemic raised it a bar, and now it's growing again. And we've gotten used to it. We've really gotten used to the ease of it. And one of the challenges for B2B companies is that, in fact, we have learnt all the ease of it on the B2C world. So if I want something delivered to my house tomorrow, I go on Amazon. And if I'm a manufacturer and I'm ordering online, I probably want it delivered tomorrow too. That whole B2C experience is also how you now want things online for your B2B. It doesn't always work that way. But I'm just saying 4 out of 5 of those billion internet users are using it to buy and sell products online. One of the things I wanted to mention again, and this is just a very sort of patchy sort of landscape that I'm pointing here, is we feel very much that your online assets work hard for you in your domestic market, in Kentucky, in the South, in the USA. But when you're looking internationally, they have to work even harder, and they're even more important for you because their prospects in other markets might not know you. Therefore, they're going to check you out. They're going to check out your website. They're going to try and find you. And that's why you need to be figuring out what kind of assets they need to see, how they need to see it, where they need to see these things. How will they search for you? How will your international buyer personas search for you? And there's a couple of questions here on the left-hand side that you might want to ask yourself. Is my international buyer persona different from my US buyer persona? And if so, in what ways? And the keys to asking that, I always think, is get your salespeople around the table, give them all a cup of coffee and say, so who are you talking to these days? What are they like? Who are they? And really profile them down to a great detail. And then try and figure out the international one, in which way is that buyer's journey different? Because the buyer's journey, that's where you want to sort of engage. You want them to identify you. You want to identify them, engage them, nurture them, so that they start considering you, that they start building the trust needed to actually click on that, yes, contact me, or yes, I will buy. That delivers quite a lot of trust implied in a buyer's journey. So figuring out who they are is the first step. The image that you have here is actually L'Oreal USA, the hair care company. L'Oreal USA. And L'Oreal USA have figured out that their buyer persona in the USA will resonate well with this picture. That the image of these women will resonate with the USA buyer persona for L'Oreal. It's interesting. They're all on the top floor. They're very dynamic. They've got screens. They're talking together too. If you go to Mexico, L'Oreal Mexico looks different. It's still on the top floor, still very urban. Everyone's got great hair. It's L'Oreal after all. But it's more collegiate. Everyone's standing around together, more of a huddle. There's two men in the image. They're all on one screen like that, and they're sharing an experience all together. That is what L'Oreal has figured out for their Mexican buyer persona will resonate with them. In Canada, L'Oreal has figured out something else. The buyer persona in Canada will be different again. That image there will resonate with the Canadian buyer persona for L'Oreal. So those are three different images that you can have for a buyer persona that a company has figured out. So your buyer personas can be different in each market, and they can react differently as well. So let's say you're on social media and you're doing something for Mexico and you're doing something for Canada. Now, these are very different markets. The Canadians can be a bit frosty about social media. They're very wary. They don't engage. They don't share. Thing like that. The Mexicans, they love it. They absolutely love it. So, this is an example. It's a little bit old. It's about 3 years old, but it's just so staggering for me that I've kept it as an example. Same time, same product, same platform. Okay, one's in English, one's in Spanish. Nevertheless, the results are completely different. 1,200 engagements for Canada, which is pretty good actually for Canada, but it's 1,200. 20,000 in Mexico, and people were literally sending us baby pictures, literally sending us, pictures of them. And this is for a chemical product, by the way. This is for a chemical product. So again, the engagement level, very different. And therefore, you've got to figure out that buyer's journey, how they will react to you and how they will engage with you in order to build the confidence that you need to get them to actually buy your products. And what I wanted to figure out as well is, okay, if your buyer personas are different in all these markets, is that why, why can't you use your Kentucky website? Why can't you use your US.com to reach your German prospect? Well, because they're going to be searching on google.de, not necessarily on google.com. They're going to search in German. And even a Canadian would be searching on a Canadian Google. And Google, search engines, Google, Amazon's a search engine, YouTube's a search engine. These are massive data-driven, AI-driven search engines, and they profile the searcher. The searcher is at the center. So the searcher is the one that the search engine wants to please. And the search engine knows where that person is, what their track record is, what their history is in searching, all those things. And so we'll say, well, you little Kentucky website, you're not relevant for that person in Germany. You're not relevant for that person in Japan. You're on page 10 of Google search or page 20 or whatever it is, because the companies that are most relevant are, have tailored things, have what they call localized that website in order to be more relevant to that buyer's persona. Now, I have a very silly example here. A colleague of mine called Celia has a dog, and this dog likes to bark during webinars. And I can see Deborah smiling because she knows Celia. And so I got Celia to go onto Google and type in English squeakless dog toys. And what do you get? You get Amazon.com. You get some interesting things from Reddit and discussions and forums. And you get, Tough for Partners, USA Dog Talk. That's what you get in the USA. Same time, same search engine, same words, same language. In the UK, you get very different results. Google.co.uk in the UK is giving very different results because it knows what's relevant for the person in the UK. So if your website in Kentucky, it's going to be very hard to use that website to really reach out and engage with people in other markets and other big markets. And that's what we're going to try and figure out. We always talk a lot about keywords, and that's obviously something that people resonate a lot, and you all know about, because those are things that drive your website. Now, again, if you're doing Google search and Google Ads, you got to be sure that the keyword is correct. Otherwise, you're giving Google money for nothing. If you're in the if you're in the athletic business and you're selling sneakers to Canada and you're using the word sneakers, you're literally paying Google money for nothing, because 2/3 of people in Canada use the word runners. Okay? Same search engines, Google, same language, different keywords, therefore different Google ad campaigns when you go internationally. So just sort of as a takeaway, I wanted to sort of say, what's the key to all of this? What is the key to your online assets, to your websites, to your online marketing? The key is to respect your local buyer persona. In both the international markets and respecting that local buyer persona. I've listed on this slide the sort of 10 criteria it takes to have a relevant website, relevant online asset in a local market. You'll note that language is one aspect. It's the translation at the top. It looks like the icing on the cake. It's not the cake. Okay, it's where you're hosted, what your URL is, what your CMS platform is, what your regulatory environment is. All those things make you relevant for a search engine. The search engine looks at the back ends and the front ends of websites. So to be relevant, you need quite a few things, not just a translator. And for anything like e-commerce, even more so. But for us, from what my takeaway from this part before I hand over to Deborah, is that your international website should really be like your best sales rep. It's working hard for you. It should work hard for you. It's 24/7. You can change it around very fast. It's very mobile and easily changeable. You can have it e-commerce enabled, and it is the place where people will go and figure you out. They will decide what your brand is, what your value is, by looking at things like this. That's the key to it. So please don't ignore your websites. And I will also talk later about how you can use websites for your local reps. But with that, I want to turn over to Deborah now. Talked enough. Deborah, I would love to hear more about what I've called a Kentucky success story from Oscar Ware.
Thanks, Suzanne. And I love all of the information you're always sharing, not just with me, but with the webinars that you do, because it's so important, to me, at what I need to do next. But I'm going to take you back to the beginning, if that's okay. I mean, Oscarware is a family-owned business started by my late husband and I with a product we called a grill topper. This invention started in our backyard because when we got married, one of the first homes we rented did not have a kitchen stove. So him being a pioneer in the satellite TV industry, he manufactured one grill topper, which at the time was just a piece of expanded metal, to put on our barbecue grill so we could grill shrimp, vegetables, pizza, all the foods that we wanted to grill. Today, we're the leading domestic manufacturer of a full line of porcelain coated steel cookware, which with our signature porcelain coating is top of the line. And then we have our easy, recyclable, disposable product line for if you're grilling something very messy and you don't want to, and you're lazy and you don't want to clean up. We have a full line of disposable toppers too. How we got here wasn't easy. We started from scratch, going door to door, phone calls all over the world to customers, trying to explain to them what a grill topper was. Today, if I had the resources that I'm using right now, that we're so excited to explain how important these resources are to you, I could have got there from my dining room table, because today I can tell anyone from right here. I'm sitting in Bonneville, Kentucky today in my office at Oscarware, which is where we manufacture our products. We ship our products from here, and we don't just ship across the USA, we ship to the United Kingdom and 14 other countries from the small town of Bonneville, Kentucky. So it doesn't matter how small you are, where you are, or how big you are. You can do this. And the people on this webinar are the partners and the experts. They're going to help you do it, because that's what they're there for. They want you to sell your products worldwide. Now, going back to 2014, that's when I took the first step in exporting and going on a trade mission to the United Kingdom. I was introduced to a program that Mary's going to tell you about, the STEP grant. During that trade mission, I was able to gain an appointment through the Department of Commerce, U.S. Commercial Services, with one of the top Big Four retailers in the United Kingdom, part of the Walmart family, who we were already doing business with by the name of Asda. We opened that door, and we've been exporting our products to Asda and growing our business there. And this year we had shipped since 2014 over 1 million grill toppers to the United Kingdom. Sustaining that business, growing that business, all of that's possible for me. All of that is so important to my business, to my future sales. And the best thing I've done to enhance and excite and excel in selling my business internationally has been through e-commerce online. Now, you might think, oh, it sounds hard. It sounds, how do you find time to export your product to another country? How do you find time to learn how to build a website, do global marketing, be on Facebook, be on Instagram. How can I do that and run my business? I thought that too. It's not that hard, because today you have people like IBT. You have teams like the International Trade Association, the Department of Commerce, the U.S. Commercial Service. I mean, they're going to connect you. They're going to help you find the right markets. They're going to help you connect with the buyers there. You heard it from Brian. They've done it for me. I sit right here in my office and I talk to the ITS or the ITA in India, Australia, Canada, Mexico. And these offices are all across the USA and in 80 countries across the world. So you have a full marketing team working for you. You have partnering with IBT, which is who we chose to be our go-to team to take us online, make us look the best we can possibly look online, maintain all of our global marketing, create all of our online marketing, watch what's working, what's not, what do we need to change? Because like Suzanne says, you have to connect online to make that sell to your product and your brand. Telling the right story, looking as best as you can be, and driving those customers, connecting with those customers to your website is going to grow your business faster than anything I have experienced in the last 2 years. It's not like it was back in our backyard, when we thought, who is going to buy a grill topper? How are we going to get someone to even put these on the shelf in their store? Today, the online presence that we have is so essential. It's not only connecting to the customer, but it's driving sales to the customers who are on the shelves. Like, we're in Amazon, we're on Walmart Marketplace, we're in Walmart stores, we're in Wegmans, we're in HEB, we do private brands. We have our products all across the US and in other countries on shelves. But there is no market, there is bigger, and there's no limit to how many products can be online and on an e-commerce website. I mean, you're opening a store, whether you're manufacturing the product that you're selling or you're a coach teaching someone how to play piano. There's no limit to what you can market or what you can sell, and how big that market is. It's like Suzanne said, everybody shops online. And today, creating that brand awareness, connecting your product, your company, your story to everyone that you can reach around the world in the right language is possible. And that is unbelievable almost. And it's so easy to do when you have the experts that are here today on this webinar with me. That's why I was very pleased when I was asked to be part of this, because I've worked with Mary, and Mary's going to tell you how she can help you export products. Brian, teams in the past, teams in the present, you all have done so much for me in helping me find customers and go into places I never thought I could reach and sit here and talk to the people I want to sell to there. And Suzanne, you and the team, when I needed to go online and I needed that e-commerce arm of my business. You all have made it so easy. It's been a great experience. The website design, you all do it all. So my recommendation and the reason I'm here is to tell every business that's listening today, you cannot say no to this. If you're thinking about it, that's one more day. And it's not hard. It's not hard to do. It's easy. Just let the people here today that are working together to help you sell your product worldwide, help you do it.
Deborah, you're fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to turn to Mary now, but before we do that, I wanted to ask as well if anyone wants to know more about websites, about online marketing, or international websites in particular. You can let us know. We can send you some links, point you in the right direction, show you, I don't know, send you some ebooks or infographics and things like that. And there's lots of stuff on our website that we can help you with. And thank you very much. We will send you some things then. Thank you. Mary, the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development. I'll get it. I'll get it in the end. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about the Cabinet for Economic Development, please.
Hi, Deborah. Hi, Susanna. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much for hosting. I just want to congratulate the audience for tuning in because I think you all lucked out today with hearing this fabulous presentation from Brian's services. You heard what Deborah had to say. You heard what Susanna had to say. And I'll just start by saying that these services are all services that can be reimbursed through the STEP grant, 100%. So you all have hit the jackpot today, and you should feel good about that. So a little bit about me. I hail from the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development. I work in the office branded as KY Innovation, and that is also known as the Office of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Next slide, please. The mission of the Cabinet for Economic Development is job creation. I don't know if anybody knew that, but that is the mission. It's job creation, and we are always striving to make these good paying jobs and a good place to live here in Kentucky. For all of you who've traveled around the world, you know what a beautiful state Kentucky is and why you call it home. Next slide, please. So the Cabinet for Economic Development is here to help no matter what phase your business is at. So for instance, I mentioned I worked in the Office of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and we oftentimes will get requests for grants to start a small business. There are no grants out there to start a small business, but this grant, the STEP grant that I'm talking about today, is the one that helps a business go to the next level. And you can see here on the left, the bubbles will tell you where our departments like KY Innovation on the left, where the STEP grant is nested, and then the business and community development, that's more for our corporations and foreign direct investment that would be coming to the state, strategy and public affairs, legal services and financial services and incentive assistance. So there's no reason any business should ever feel like they are lacking in assistance. We're here and would appreciate any inquiries that anyone wants to send us. Next slide, please. So I have heard this recurring theme throughout the webinar today. Why export? I heard it from Susanna, I heard it from Brian, and I heard it from Deborah. And here it is again. So you can see over 90% of consumers live outside the United States. 2/3 of the world's purchasing power is outside the United States. Why should you do it? To increase your profits, to reduce market dependence, and stabilize seasonal sales. And for anybody who's been there, you know what that means. Next slide, please. So what is the STEP grant? The STEP grant is a $10,000 reimbursement grant. So again, it's reimbursement. You do have to apply for the program and be in it and perform your export development activities, and then you get reimbursed for it. And down in the lower corner, you'll see some logos. You'll see the State of Kentucky logo and the Cabinet for Economic Development logo, and you also see the SBA logo. And the reason for that is this STEP grant program is a joint grant between the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development. So the SBA manages the grant and we administer the grant from Kentucky. Most of the other states do have STEP grant programs, but they run them differently. And I don't know. When I talk to my counterparts in the other states, Kentucky always comes out on top because we are 100% reimbursing for the activities. So who can STEP funds help? We say any eligible export-ready Kentucky-based small to mid-sized business. And what makes a company export-ready? Well, you notice I said it's a reimbursement grant. And so oftentimes these days, to register for anything, to pay for anything, you have to use your credit card. And a reimbursement does not occur until after the activity has happened. So we don't want our companies to go out there and incur a lot of credit card debt if, say, for instance, the trade show is maybe three months away. We want you all to be able to incur that cost and then understand you get reimbursed after that. So we do encourage women-owned businesses, rural-owned businesses, socially and economically disadvantaged or veteran or service-disabled veteran-owned businesses to apply for STEP funding. It's open to everyone as long as your business is eligible. Next slide, please. A little bit about the allowable activities. So I started out by mentioning that all of the activities that I've heard thus far in the webinar today, everything from the website development to all of the U.S. commercial services, they all can be reimbursed through the STEP grant program, depending on what your company needs. So I'll just run through these real quickly. Participating in foreign trade missions. Deborah mentioned the trade mission. So that's something that's reimbursable through STEP. Of course, our host, Susanna, she talks about the website capabilities that they can offer. So that is definitely reimbursable. International marketing media design, participating in trade show exhibits, participating in export training workshops, and the procurement of consultancy services. We ask that you go to the U.S. Department of Commerce first to see if they can help you, and if they don't have the tools, or maybe you've got something that needs to be very customized, you're allowed to use the consultancy service. Next slide, please. Here again is a little more in-depth look at what is allowable. So your airfare, your ground transportation, basically your travel and your lodging fees are reimbursable through STEP. Shipping sample products when you're exhibiting at trade shows. Compliance testing, that's one that sometimes gets overlooked. There are a lot of things that could go under compliance. That could be something about getting a CE mark put on a product. It could be something about, I don't know, a lot of different things. But anyway, depending on your business, you can understand compliance. Next slide, please. All right, so just a quick frequently asked questions. When can you apply for the STEP grant and how can you get reimbursed? Again, just quickly that when you're export ready, that's when we recommend that you apply for STEP. And, I said it was a $10,000 reimbursement grant. So maybe there will be some companies that don't utilize an entire $10,000. Maybe they need to go through export training first, get an understanding of where they're at, and then move on to something else. Or you might be one of those companies that ends up using the entire $10,000 on exhibiting at a trade show. Sometimes those can be very costly. So it's going to vary from company to company. But once the company applies and they're admitted to the STEP grant program, they receive an award letter, and they can potentially use that amount of funding on their activities as long as the grant is active. We've got here certain activities must be pre-approved. So for instance, if you're going to be traveling for a trade show, that's one of the things that would be pre-approved, and it's just let us know in advance. There's a form to complete for that. It's all very easy. You don't need to hire a grant writer to fill out your grant application forms. It's all, if you're the business owner, chances are highly likely you're going to be able to answer all these questions pretty easily. Next slide, please. Here's my contact information. If you have any questions at all, I encourage you to not hesitate to reach out. The Kentucky Export Initiative website link that we have here, kyexports.com, is a partnership. It's more of a resource web page that talks about the STEP grant, but it talks about all of our partner agencies that can answer questions that you might have. So for instance, the U.S. Commercial Service, the World Trade Center Kentucky, and several others that are going to be sounding really familiar to you are located on this website. So anyway, happy to take any Q&A at the end of the webinar.
Thank you so much, Mary. One quick question that's just come in, which might be just quick one to if I wanted to do anything on the websites, would I apply first for a STEP or first for the website?
That's a fantastic question. STEP is not retroactive, so you do want to apply and be in the STEP grant program before you make any contracts, have any work done, or make any payments. And that goes for anything in the STEP grant. Everything, you need to apply for STEP first.
Great. Thank you very much. Right. Please, let's move on. I'm conscious of time. I wanted to give you some quick takeaways, some easy wins. Where do you start with all this? And I guess I would say there's some must-haves, right? And this applies to your U.S. website or to any online asset that you have. Make sure your website is working hard for you. And you can get it checked in performance. You can make sure your webmaster, ask him, is it properly mobile enabled? In other words, can I see it properly on a phone? What's the load speed? If it's less than if it's more than 2 seconds, no, people will zone out. Is it optimized for the search engines? And a webmaster will know what that means. He knows that H1s, H2s, the href lengths, all the technical side of the optimization. Is the imagery good? And the imagery is increasingly important. So make sure your images are good. And one of the key things about imagery is that it's authentic and engaging. And then is it easy to navigate? Do I find my way easily around the website? Are there proper links within the website? And the question I want to also leave with you is, how are you using your website? And what I would suggest to all of you is to bring it right in. If you got a sales and marketing meeting, invite the website in there with you. Oh, we're going on a trade mission. Put it on the website. Oh, we're going to a trade show. Add the banner and the booth number to your website. We have a new product launch. Add it to the website. We've got some new team members. Add it to the website. So bring it right in to the sales and marketing team. When you're doing those sales and marketing conversations, figure out what does that imply? How do I use my online assets? What does it imply for my online assets, given the conclusion of these meetings? Internationally, some easy wins internationally. And this was also sort of, from Mary and Brian. So, what happens if there's not too much, if someone's just starting out, they don't yet have a lot of resources, they don't have the resources to build a lot of things, and they're not yet ready perhaps for the STEP grants. What do? I've just put a couple of things down on this slide. Value your URLs. Your URL is your domain name. KentuckyExporter.com, for example, is your URL. Value that. That is expensive real estate. So if you've got a rep in France or in Mexico or whatever it is, don't let them take your KentuckyExporter.fr or .co.mx or whatever. Don't let them take your real estate, your online real estate. Know what your online real estate is, and don't give it to your international reps. They can contribute, but you should own them. If you don't own them, you really should. You should really make sure you own your assets. And number two, show, Deborah said earlier, we're based here in Kentucky. We sell to the world. We sell to these countries and those countries. Shout about it. So very often you go to someone's U.S. website and it looks so U.S. focused. You don't, even if it's scary to ask them, hey, can you sell me something? I live in Canada. Yeah, we sell to Canada all the time. I don't see that on your website. Just say it. Just say the words, if nothing else. And then make sure you're seriously easy to get in touch with. The forms are going to be short, not long, but short forms, just the minimum amount of information. Good calls to action, engaging CTAs. Use a WhatsApp. A lot of countries use WhatsApp rather than landlines. Your 1-800 numbers don't work outside the USA. It's expensive to phone you. Make sure that it's easy to get in touch with you. When the other points I wanted to make was basically about talking to the world. Get your company a LinkedIn profile. Add images. Images speak 1,000 words. Images work across different markets. You don't need subtitles. The image will say it itself. And I wanted to highlight especially just videos because they're so important in today's market. Videos, everyone just wants bite-sized videos, short little videos. And then finally, highlight your wins. Make sure that you are really punching out there and saying those things. And final last thing, this is where we're thinking, take a laser approach, not a shotgun approach. Be focused. Take one market. You're not sure which market? Contact Brian and Mary. They'll figure it out for you. But focus one at a time. Don't scatter yourself. Right. Super fast. I wanted to show you a couple of slides about how some companies are doing it. A lot of companies use their website to support local distributors. So they maintain their brand, they do their own online marketing, and they feed the distributors the leads. So those are market qualified, sales qualified leads to the distributors. But they don't let the distributors handle their brand. Your brand is your most important asset. Don't give it to your distributors. Trade shows, I want also to focus on that. Trade shows are definitely back. Look at those crowds. Don't you just love them? But they are different. They have changed. And again, they are very, very different today than they used to be. Today's world has got to have some kind of hybrid and online asset to it. So, use the technology, use your websites and your online to do that. An example for that is basically to start using content and be a content creator. It's easy these days. You've all got an iPhone. And if someone wants to dive into, trade show marketing, we even have a whole program on that. And there's lots you can download on our website about trade shows in particular. They're seriously important. They're great times for engaging. If nothing else, you can build what's called a landing page. And even if your website is what it is, you can, you're not happy with it, build a landing page for your international, or build a landing page for a trade show. You can build a landing page for any specific event. And that demonstrates your credibility internationally or within an industry. So these are landing pages that are attached to your website and act as springboards for all of your social media, all of your imagery, and any kind of activity. It really amplifies your online presence for a trade show, for a trade mission, but also for your international side. Finally, I wanted to leave you with a slide of that landing page, what you do with it afterwards, incorporate it into your booth. Brian talked earlier about trade shows and so on. Remember your QR codes. Remember your booth. make sure that it's really used. And they have a great service as well for shared booths, which is probably the way to go when you first start. Okay, we're pretty well out of time. I wanted to sort of give some last reminders, just sort of summaries, sort of, you know, our view of why we think Kentucky companies need online business tools. Oh, here we go. Next slide. Here we go. So, you know, basically because the world is online, as we said earlier. Exporting can be tough, can be daunting, can be scary, but take Deborah's advice. You don't have to do this alone at all. Get in touch with Mary. There, you know, the ced.ky.gov. The next slide, with those things and with those bubbles that you mentioned. Get in touch with Mary, or get in touch with Brian at U.S. Commercial Service and Department of Commerce if you're looking for assistance. You can also download lots of resources and things on our website, as well as the trade.gov. There's lots of things about the e-commerce solution center, which we manage with the International Trade Administration. Finally, also, as I said, there's lots to download on our website on the resources page. Phew, we are 1 minute over time, and we've sort of, but I think we've packed a lot of information into this webinar. We will respond to any questions via email. I think that's the most polite thing to do. But I wanted to give a big thank you to Brian and to Mary for participating, for joining, and for just being such fantastic advocates of Kentucky companies and Kentucky exporters. And then a special thanks to our friend Deborah, as always, sharing experience and story of Oscarware. And then finally to all of you for participating. Well done. And you will get a recording of this. And if you want the slide deck, let us know. We hope this has been of use and also enjoyable for you for taking an hour. Thank you all so much. Hope to see you again online, and hope to see you in Kentucky or on a trade show or trade mission sometime too. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Deborah. Mary, take care. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.